Hello, 4th and 5th grade. This video is for Tuesday, Number the Stars. Remember, we did not have school on Monday, so we're starting on Tuesday. So just thinking back, we obviously know that there was no Great Aunt Birdie. There was nobody in the coffin during their kind of fake funeral memorial service. The coffin had actually been full of coats and blankets. The people that had supposedly come for this memorial or this funeral were actually Jewish people that Anne Marie's Uncle Henrik and Mom and Peter were helping to escape. Henrik was going to take them in his boat to go across to Sweden, which was not occupied by Nazis. It was still free from German occupancy. So Peter, Uncle Henrik had already left for his boat. Peter was going to lead one group of the people. So it was the young wife and husband that had the baby. And remember, Peter gave that baby some medicine to make it sleepy so it wouldn't cry. And then the older gentleman that was there. So Peter was going to take them first. And then he told Mama to bring Mr. and Mrs. Rosen and Ellen 20 minutes after that. And they were taking this path through the middle of the night that would get to Uncle Henrik's boat. Remember, too, that Peter had also given like a packet, like an envelope packet, to Mr. Rosen. And he didn't tell him what was inside, and Mr. Rosen didn't ask, but Peter had very like specific instructions to give that. It must get to Uncle Henrik. So Peter had left with the first group. Mama had left with the second group. There was that little fright at first when Mama initially started leaving because Uncle Henrik stumbled a little bit and fell, but he was okay. Anyway, so they left, and Anne Marie was just waiting, and she thought it would probably take about an hour for Mom to get there and then get back again. But then Anne Marie fell asleep. She woke up. More than an hour had passed. Mom wasn't back, and she looked out the window and saw kind of this like heap on the ground and realized it was Mama. So she had run out there. So we will still read aloud. So if you don't already have your stuff, pause the video to grab your book and your packet. Okay, so we are on chapter 13, which starts on page 101. Okay. And it's called Run as Fast as You Can. So follow along while I read. Still moving quietly so as not to wake her sister, Anne Marie sped down the stairs and through the kitchen door. Her foot caught the loose step, and she faltered for a moment, righting herself, and then dashed across the ground to the place where her mother lay. "Mama!" she called desperately. "Mama!" "Shh!" Mama said, raising her head. "I'm all right." "But, Mama," Anne Marie asked, kneeling beside her, "what's wrong? What happened?" Her mother pulled herself to a sitting position. She winced in pain. "I'm all right, really. Don't worry. And the Rosens are with Henrik. That's the important thing." She smiled a little, though her face was drawn with pain, and she bit her lip, the smile fading. "We got there quite quickly, even though it was still so dark, and it was difficult for the Rosens, not knowing the path. Henrik was there waiting on the boat, and he took them aboard and down below so quickly to the cabin that they were invisible in an instant. He said the others were already there. Peter got them there safely, too. So I turned and hurried home. I was so anxious to get back to you girls. I should have been more careful." Talking softly, she brushed some grass and dirt from her hands. "Can you believe it? I was very, very nearly here. Well, maybe just halfway, when I tripped over a root and went sprawling." Mama sighed. "So clumsy," she said, as if she were scolding herself. "I'm afraid my ankle is broken, Anne Marie. Thank goodness it is nothing worse. An ankle mends. And I am home, and the Rosens are with Henrik." "You should have seen me, Anne Marie," she said, shaking her head with a wry look. "Your proper Mama crawling inch by inch. I probably looked like a drunkard." She reached for Anne Marie's arm. "Here, let me lean on you. I think if you support me on the side, I can make my way up to the house. Oh, goodness, what a clumsy fool I am. Here, let me put my arm over your shoulders. You're such a good, strong, brave girl. Now, very slowly, there. Mama's face was white with pain. Anne-Marie could see it even through the faint light of the approaching dawn. She hobbled, leaning heavily on her daughter, pausing again and again toward the house. When we get inside, I'll have a cup of tea, and then we'll call the doctor. I'll tell him that I fell on the stairs. You'll have to help me wash away the grass and twigs. Here, Anne-Marie, let me rest for a minute. They had reached the house, and Mama sank down to the steps and sat. She took several deep breaths. Anne-Marie sat beside her and held her hand. Mama, I was so worried when you didn't come back. Mama nodded. I knew you would be. I thought of you, worrying, as I dragged myself along. But here I am, safe with you now. Everything is fine. What time is it? It must be 4:30 or close to it. They will sail soon. Mama turned her head and gazed across the meadow to the sea and the vast sky above it. There were no stars now, only the gray, pale sky, with pinkness at its border. Soon they will be safe too. Anne-Marie relaxed. She stroked her mother's hand and looked down at the discolored, swollen ankle. Mama, what is this? She asked suddenly, reaching into the grass at the foot of the steps. Turn the page. Mama looked. She gasped. Oh my God, she said. Anne-Marie picked it up. She recognized it now, knew what it was. It was the packet that Peter had given to Mr. Rosen. Mr. Rosen tripped on the step, remember? It must have fallen from his pocket. We'll have to save it and give it back to Peter. Anne-Marie handed it to her mother. Do you know what it is? Her mother didn't answer. Her face was stricken. She looked at the path and down at her ankle. It's important, isn't it, Mama? It was for Uncle Henrik. I remember Peter said it was very important. I heard him tell Mr. Rosen. Her mother tried to stand, but fell back against the steps with a groan. My God, she murmured again. It may all have been for nothing. Anne-Marie took the packet from her mother's hand and stood. I will take it, she said. I know the way, and it's almost light now. I can run like the wind. Mama spoke quickly, her voice tense. Anne-Marie, go into the house and get the small basket on the table. Quickly, quickly. Put an apple into it and some cheese. Put this packet underneath. Do you understand? Hurry. Anne-Marie did instantly as she was told. The basket, the packet at the bottom. She covered it with a napkin, then some wrapped cheese, an apple. She glanced around the kitchen, saw some bread, and added that. The little basket was full. She took it to where her mother was. You must run to the boat. If anyone should stop you. Who would stop me? Anne-Marie, you understand how dangerous this is. If any soldiers see you, if they stop you, you must pretend to be nothing more than a little girl, a silly, empty-headed little girl, taking lunch to a fisherman, a foolish uncle who forgot his bread and cheese. Mama, what is it in the bottom? But her mother still didn't answer the question. Go, she said firmly. Go right now and run as fast as you can. Anne-Marie kissed her mother quickly, grabbed the basket from her mother's lap, turned, and ran toward the path. Oh, man. Okay, so for the packet this week, you guys have been working hard. You've done every single page. Let's see, there's that cause and effect page. You had the main idea pages. After that, you had the quiz time page for chapters 9 through 12. And then the last thing you did last week was the fact and opinion page. So after that fact and opinion page, there is this section called making an outline. We are not going to do this, so you can skip these 2 pages. The pages after that are called choosing correct meanings. We are also skipping these 2 pages. So you're going to skip ahead to find this quiz time page for chapters 13 through 15. So this will be the page we are working on this week. So for today, with chapter 13, you're going to just do numbers 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 is describe what happens to Mama on the way back from the boat. So why was she in a heap on the ground? Number 2, what does Anne-Marie find next to the house? Because remember, they were just sitting on the steps. They weren't actually inside. And then number 3, what instructions does Mama give Anne-Marie concerning the items that she found next to the house? Okay. All right, so answer those completely using text evidence, and we'll read more tomorrow.